All right, in this video, I'm going to go over how to create and reuse and grade with a rubric in Google Classroom. It's a pretty great feature and it works really well. So let's just get started. I'm going to create an assignment and I'm just going to call it writing. And I'm not going to go over any of the instructions or anything. All I'm going to go over this is putting in a rubric. So here's how you create a rubric. First of all, you have some options. You can create, you can reuse, and you can import from sheets. What I'm going to do is going to create one quickly right now. Then I'll show you how to reuse one, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when you grade. So let's create a rubric. So it adds for a criterion. What I generally do is I don't import it from sheets. I use the rubric that I made in for what I'm using it for, and I just copy and paste. So my first criterion is claim, and then I come over here and I paste that. And then point value, I'm going to start with my 4-point value, and all I'm going to do is go back and forth, and I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to paste into the description, and then I'm going to make my next level, and that's going to be a 3. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to copy my 3, and I'm going to paste, and then I'm going to do my 2. So you get the idea. There's a bunch of copying and pasting going on. You could type all this stuff in. If you don't have it already written out, you could enter it yourself. And then finally for my 1, and I might even add a 0 here to so, oops, little spelling error. So that would be if you're just using a 4-point rubric, that would be great. You could be done if you see the score is out of 4. But I'm going to add another criterion because I have several different levels to this. I have their claims. So then when I come back over here and I copy their evidence, paste it. And again, I just go through these steps all over again. Plus, and you get pretty quick. You could split the screen. This is going a little bit slower for me. I should split the screen and just do this instead of going back and forth. It would make it a little bit quicker, but this is also not that slow going back and forth between the two. And let me get down. I'm only going to do 2 levels of this. I'm not going to do all 5 levels that I have on my rubric here, but you totally could. You could make 5 different levels to this. And then I'm going to hit 0. Then I'm done with my scoring. So we can see I'm going to use the rubric score. So that's going to make it out of 8, right? I have 2 different levels. They're both 4-point rubrics. I could give each of these a title if I want. I could say, this is great. This is awesome. This is okay. This is meh. And this, you didn't even do it. So you could give those titles or you don't have to. It's totally up to you. I could put the description in here. Obviously, evidence. This is that you use proper evidence from your sources. And same thing up here, I could say you made a good claim. It was concise. It stated what you meant, whatever type of description I want to put in there. When I'm finished with this, I just hit save. And it creates the rubric. In a second, I'm going to show you what that looks like on the grading end. But right now, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to ditch this rubric because I want to show you how to reuse a rubric. So if you've made one once, the good thing is you can use it over and over again. So I'm going to delete the rubric for now. I am going to reuse a rubric. Now, I have made a rubric for this assignment before, so I could just, or I'm sorry, in this classroom before, I could use that rubric. But if I created it in a different class and I didn't create it in this classroom, I could go to one of my other classes and use a rubric from one of the other classes. So let's see, I want to go to social studies 3rd period, and it'll show me all of the rubrics that I created there. So I just have to search for whichever rubric I want, and let's pick one because that's the one we're actually going to look at. I hit select. It adds the rubric. Now, what you do need to do is you can leave this out of 11, or sorry, you can leave this point value out of 100, but I change it to the same score as how many points I have on my rubric. It would just convert your score to out of 100, I believe, if you left it as 100. So now let's look at it when we are grading. First of all, here's a student response. So when I'm grading, it's really easy to click on the different levels. So when I read through purpose and organization, if I can expand and see what each level is so I can remind myself, but I just click where I want that. If they got a 4, and you can see it's automatically changing the grade around. All right. So super useful there. This is the student gets that feedback. Also, in here in your gradebook, you can see when you quickly go through people's scores, go through the kids' scores, you can see here that, I can expand whether they get, okay, the claims where, all right, I can see each level. And it's really, really, really easy to do, and you can reuse the rubrics. So I hope that helps. Using rubrics in Google Classroom, pretty easy thing to do. So yeah, there you go.